Hello, my lovelies. It is time for another round of Have I Read It? So stay tuned. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Have I Read It is one of my multiple TBR games that I play in order to help pick my TBR for the upcoming month. And the way this one works is you get to help pick my TBR. So I react to a haul from over 3 years ago, and I tell you if I've read the book, if I haven't read the book, or if I've unhauled the book. Out of all of the books that I still own from that haul that I have not read, you get to vote on which book or books you want me to read in the upcoming month. And based on the number of unread, we'll determine how many I have to pick. So if I have 1 through 9 unread, then I have to pick the number 1 voted book. If I have 10 through 19, I have to pick the top 2. 20 through 29, top 3, and so on and so on. So today we're going to be reacting to my book haul part 2 from my October 2020 haul. The thumbnail from this is ridiculous. I am standing next to a stack of books that's nearly as tall as me. And part 1 of this video was like a 44-minute long video. This one is ever so slightly shorter. But yeah, last time wasn't great. There was probably like half the books I hadn't read. So hopefully for part 2 I will have done better. Fingers crossed. Alright, I've got my earbuds in. I've got the video pulled up. Let's get started. Okay, so my break took a little bit because I also had to get dinner prepared and it's in the oven now. But I have about 20 minutes until I need to stop again to get the food out. And now I'm surrounded by cats. I have Katniss here. Hi, baby. And I have my big boy, Tigger. As soon as I sat down here, they swarmed me. Okay, so these are books that, they're both up against the tripod right now. Hold on. Y'all need to move. Okay, let's try that again. These are all books that I bought from different online retailers. I think they're all online. Anyway, the first 2 I have here are New World Ashes and New World Inferno by Jennifer Wilson. I'm pretty sure I still own both of those and have not read them. Let me double check. So I read the first book in this series, not one of those that's in that haul. It's New World Rising in 2020. And I liked it and gave it 4 stars and wanted to continue. So I bought those. Never continued. I will definitely have to read the first book again because it's been 5 years. So I don't remember anything at all about it. So I'm going to read you about the first book, New World Rising. But the one that you would vote for is New World Ashes, because even though I'll have to reread the first book, I will have to read both the first book and the second book if you vote for this. Okay, so let me pull this up. This says, Worlds collide in debut author Jennifer Wilson's graphic dystopian series where Divergent meets Mad Max. Since witnessing her parents' murders at the age of 11, Phoenix's only purpose in life has been to uphold her mother's dying words, to be strong and survive. But surviving outside the walls, outside the sanctuary, is more like a drawn-out death sentence. A cruel and ruthless city, Tartarus is run by the tribes whose motto is simple, join or die. Refusing to join and determined to live, Phoenix fights to survive in this savage world. But who can she trust when no one can be trusted, not even herself? The first of a trilogy, New World Rising, is an epic tale of survival instinct, trauma, and the extraordinary power of human connection. So if you want me to continue with this series, vote New World Ashes. Let's get back to the video. Okay, next up we have, oh, this was something I pre-ordered. This is The Trials of Apollo, Book 5, The Tower of Nero. I don't know if this is one I've read or not. I have to check.
because I read a lot of these books, but I can't remember if this was one of them. No, that was like the series that I didn't finish. All right, so last month when I did one of my Have I Read It? I think it was Have I Read It 88. Another book from this series, book 4, came up, and that was The Tyrant's Tomb. And it didn't win. But I'm going to put that out here again if you want me to continue the series, with the Trials of Apollo series. And I'll tell you, it's a quest adventure centered around Apollo, in which the god is sentenced by Zeus to a life on Earth as a mortal. So if you want me to continue in this series, you'll need to vote The Tyrant's Tomb. All right, next up.
Okay, I also ordered some, and they're mixed in here, some middle grade books. I got Castle Hangnail by Ursula Vernon, and I hope this is really cute.
I'm not sure about Castle Hangnail. I don't know if I still own this or not. Okay, so I do still own it, and I have not read it. This says, from the creator of Dragon Breath comes a tale of witches, minions, and one fantastic castle, just right for fans of Roald Dahl and Tom Engelberger. When Molly shows up on Castle Hangnail's doorstep to fill the vacancy for a wicked witch, the castle's minions are understandably dubious. After all, she's 12 years old, barely 5 feet tall, and quite polite. The minions are used to tall, demanding evil sorceresses with razor-sharp cheekbones. But the castle desperately needs a master, or else the Board of Magic will decommission it, leaving all the minions without the home they love. So when Molly assures them she is quite wicked indeed, so wicked, really wicked, and begins completing the task required by the Board of Magic for approval, everyone feels hopeful. Unfortunately, it turns out that Molly has quite a few secrets, including the biggest one of all, that she isn't who she says she is. This quirky, richly illustrated novel is filled with humor, magic, and an unforgettable all-star cast of castle characters. So if you want me to read this, vote Castle Hangnail. Also, my battery's about to die, so let me change that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, back to the video.
Next up we have Flying Lessons and Other Stories, with a foreword by Christopher Myers. And this has several different authors. We have Conway Alexander, Kelly J. Baptist, Somen Chainani, Matt De La Pena, Tim Federell, Grace Lynn, Meg Medina, Walter Dean Myers, Tim Tingle, and Jacqueline Woodson.
I don't know. I feel like I still own this, but let me check. Okay, so I do still own it, and I have not read it. This says, whether it is basketball dreams, family fiascos, first crushes, or new neighborhoods, this bold anthology, written by the best children's authors, celebrates the uniqueness and universality in all of us. In a partnership with We Need Diverse Books, industry giants Conway Alexander, Somen Chiani, Matt Dale, all those authors, I'm not going to read them again, join newcomer Kelly J. Baptist in a story collection that is as humorous as it is heartfelt. This impressive group of authors has earned among them every major award in children's publishing and popularity as New York Times bestsellers. From these distinguished authors come 10 distinct and vibrant stories. So if you want me to read this, vote Flying Lessons and Other Stories. We are not starting off good in this one at all. I think so far every book that's come up is one that I have not read. I think. All right, next up.
Then we have Tangled in Time, The Portal by Catherine Lasky.
Okay, I feel like I still own this and have not read it, but I'm going to check. That is correct. Okay, let's see. This says, for fans of the Royal Diary series and Gail Carson Levine, Newbery Honor-winning author Catherine Lasky delivers the first enchanting adventure in a compelling new middle-grade series about a newly orphaned girl who finds herself time-traveling between the present day and the court of the two most memorable English princesses in history. Life used to be great for Rose, full of friends, a loving mom, and a growing fashion blog. But when her mother dies in a car crash, Rose is sent away to live with a strange grandmother she hardly knows and forced to attend a new school where mean girls ridicule her at every turn. The only place Rose finds refuge is in her grandmother's greenhouse, but one night she sees a strange light glowing from within it. She goes to investigate and finds herself transported back 500 years to Hatfield Palace, where she becomes servant and confidant of the banished Princess Elizabeth, daughter of King Henry VIII. Soon, Rose discovers something else amazing, a locket with 2 mysterious images inside it, both clues to her own past. Could the greenhouse portal offer answers to the mysteries of her family and their secrets? So if you want me to read this, vote Tangled in Time. All right, next up.
Next we have The Synapse Sequence by Daniel Godfrey.
I'm not sure about this one. Okay, so that one is one that I have unhauled. Finally one that's not one that I still own and haven't read. All right, next up.
Okay, it's much later and we've had our dinner now. The next book I have here is The Chaos of Stars by Kirsten White.
I don't know. That is also one that I have unhauled. Okay. Earbuds back in. All right, next up.
Okay, next up we have The Cat Who Came In Off the Roof by Annie M.G. Schmidt.
I don't know. Okay, so this is one that I do still own and I have not read. Shocker. This says a charming Dutch classic that withstands the test of time worldwide and will appeal to readers young and old and dog and cat lovers alike. Shy reporter Mr. Tibble is close to losing his job because he only writes about cats, but when an act of kindness brings him into contact with the unusual Mrs. Mignou, his luck suddenly begins to change. Mignou provides Tibble with juicy news, but it's who is giving her the gossip that's newsworthy. Mignou claims that the tips come from her local feline friends, who are the eyes and ears of the neighborhood. Tibble is appreciative but can't help wondering how could this be, and why is Mignou so terrified of dogs and so skilled at climbing trees and rooftops? It's almost as if she's a cat herself. So if you want me to read this, vote The Cat Who Came In Off the Roof. So far we're only about a quarter of the way through and I already have 7 unread. This is not good. All right, next up.
Then we have Phoenix by Elizabeth Richards.
Okay, I have not read this, I don't think. I'm not sure if I still own it. Okay, I do still own it. I have not read it. However, I also still own and have not read the first in the series, which is called Black City. So I'm going to tell you about Black City, and that's what you will vote for. So if you want me to read it. This says, a dark and tender post-apocalyptic love story set in the aftermath of a bloody war. In a city where humans and darklings are now separated by a high wall and tensions between the two races still simmer after a terrible war, 16-year-olds Ash Fisher, a half-blood darkling, and Natalie Buchanan, a human and daughter of the emissary, meet and do the unthinkable. They fall in love. Bonded by a mysterious connection that causes Ash's long-dormant heart to beat, Ash and Natalie first deny and then struggle to fight their forbidden feelings for each other, knowing if they're caught, they'll be executed, but their feelings are too strong. When Ash and Natalie find themselves at the center of a deadly conspiracy that threatens to pull the humans and darklings back into war, they must make hard choices that could result in both of their deaths. So if you want me to read this, vote Black City. Okay, next up.
Next up we have Across the Universe by Beth Revis.
I don't know. I still own it. I have not read it. Okay, let's see. This says, Book 1 in the New York Times best-selling trilogy, perfect for fans of Battlestar Galactica and Prometheus. What does it take to survive aboard a spaceship fueled by lies? Amy is cryogenically frozen passenger aboard the spaceship Godspeed. She has left her boyfriend, friends, and planet behind to join her parents as a member of Project Ark ship. Amy and her parents believe they will wake on a new planet, Centauri Earth, 300 years in the future. But 50 years before Godspeed's scheduled landing, Cryo Chamber 42 is mysteriously unplugged, and Amy is violently woken from her frozen slumber. Someone tried to murder her. Now Amy is caught inside an enclosed world where nothing makes sense. Godspeed's 2,312 passengers have forfeited all control to Eldest, a tyrannical and frightening leader. An eldest rebellious teenage heir is both fascinated with Amy and eager to discover whether he has what it takes to lead. Amy desperately wants to trust Elder, but should she put her faith in a boy who has never seen life outside the ship's cold metal walls? All Amy knows is that she and Elder must race to unlock Godspeed's hidden secrets before whoever woke her tries to kill again. So if you want me to read this, vote Across the Universe. Okay, that puts us at 9. So just one more and I'll have to pick the top 2 voted books. And we aren't even halfway. We're about a third of the way. Okay, next.
Okay, next up we have Binti by Nindi Okorafor.
Okay, I'm almost positive I still have Binti and I have not read it. Yeah, I actually have books 1, 2, and 3. I haven't read any of them. But only book 1 is in the haul, so I think. Okay, so this is what it says for Binti. Her name is Binti, and she is the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at Umza University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to accept the offer will mean giving up her place in her family to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Meduse, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. Umza University has wronged the Meduse, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of a war not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself. But first, she has to make it there alive. So if you want me to read this, vote Binti. And that puts us at 10, which means I have to pick the top 2 voted books. Okay, next up.
Okay, next up we have Friend Request by Laura Marshall.
I don't know about this one either. I feel like a lot of these are probably in my guest room closet, and that's why they don't come to mind. Okay, I do still own it. I have not read it, and it is actually in that closet. Okay, this says Maria Weston wants to be friends, but Maria Weston is dead, isn't she? 1989, when Louise first notices the new girl who has mysteriously transferred late into their senior year, Maria seems to be everything the girls Louise hangs out with aren't. Authentic, funny, brash. Within just a few days, Maria and Louise are on their way to becoming fast friends. 2016, Louise receives a heart-stopping email. Maria Weston wants to be friends on Facebook. Long-buried memories quickly rise to the surface. Those first days of their budding friendship, cruel decisions made and dark secrets kept. The night that would change all their lives forever. Louise has always known that if the truth ever came out, she could stand to lose everything. Her job, her son, her freedom. Maria's sudden reappearance threatens it all and forces Louise to reconnect with everyone she'd severed ties with to escape the past. But as she tries to piece together exactly what happened that night, Louise discovers there's more to the story than she ever knew. To keep her secret, Louise must first uncover the whole truth before what's known to Maria, or whoever's pretending to be her, is known to all. So if you want me to read this, vote Friend Request. All right, next up.
This next book is one that I think I had heard about this book, and I was expecting this one to be a small book, so I think I got books confused in my head, because this is not a small book by any means. Okay. We got Stephen King, The Institute.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I still own it, and I definitely haven't read it. Oh wait, I'm wrong. I did actually read it, and I do still own it. I gave it 4 stars. Oh, okay. I forgot that I read that. I'm glad. I think I actually remember, now that I'm thinking about it, what this was about. All right. Yay. Okay. All right, so we're now halfway through, which is not good because I have 11 on here already. So if we continue on this path, I'll have to pick the top 3 voted books. All right, next up.
Okay, next up we have another book that was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amati.
I don't know. I have unhauled that one. All right, next up.
Okay, next up we have Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers.
I feel like I still own this one. I don't think I've read it. That is correct. Okay, this says Perfect Parker Fadley isn't so perfect anymore. She's quit the cheerleading squad, she dumped her perfect boyfriend, and she's failing school. Her parents are on a constant suicide watch, and her counselors think she's playing games, but they don't know the real reason for this whole mess isn't something she can say out loud. It isn't even something she can say to herself. A horrible thing has happened, and it just might be her fault. If she can just remove herself from everybody, be totally alone, then everything will be okay. The problem is, nobody will let her. So if you want me to read this, vote Cracked Up to Be. All right, next up.
All right, next up we have Daisy Jones and the Sixth by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
I have read and still own Daisy Jones and the Six. My tongue is getting tired. All right, next up.
And then I have a hilarious book. And if you saw my October 2020 wrap up, this was in there because I read it like the day it came in. Me and Marty both read it, and Xander read it. And that is If You Give a Pig the White House by Faye Canus, illustrated by Amy Zing, and this is a parody.
I have read. I think I have unhauled that. I might have unhauled it to Marty, but I don't have it on my shelves. But I did read it. All right, next up.
Next up we have Horror Store by Grady Hendrix.
I do still own and have not read Horror Store. I appreciate when I can like see a book and be like, yes, I have that. Yes, I've read that, whatever. It's the one, so many of them that I'm like, I don't know. Okay, so Horror Store. Something strange is happening at the Orsk Furniture Superstore in Cleveland, Ohio. Every morning, employees arrive to find broken conjuring bookshelves, shattered glands water goblets, and smashed Luripip wardrobes. Sales are down, security cameras reveal nothing, and store managers are panicking. To unravel the mystery, 3 employees volunteer to work a 9-hour dusk till dawn shift in the dead of night. They'll patrol the empty showroom floor, investigate strange sights and sounds, and encounter horrors that defy the imagination. A traditional haunted house story in a thoroughly contemporary setting, Horror Store is designed to retain its luster and natural appearance for a lifetime of use. Pleasingly proportioned with generous French flaps and a soft cover binding, Horror Store delivers the psychological terror you need in the elegant package you deserve. This is like a haunted IKEA, pretty much. And I know that throughout there's like illustrations of like instructions to put things together or things like that. So this is one that I do know I have and I'm interested in reading. I just haven't gotten around to it. Okay, so if you want me to read this, vote Horror Store. All right, next up.
Next up we have The Marriage Pact by Michelle Richmond.
I'm not sure if I've read this one or not. Okay, so I do still own this one. I have not read it. This says, newlyweds Alice and Jake are a picture-perfect couple. Alice, once a singer in a well-known rock band, is now a successful lawyer. Jake is a partner in an up-and-coming psychology practice. Their life together holds endless possibilities. After receiving an enticing wedding gift from one of Alice's prominent clients, they decided to join an exclusive mysterious group known only as the Pact. The goal of the Pact seems simple: to keep marriages happy and intact. And most of its rules make sense. Always answer the phone when your spouse calls, exchange thoughtful gifts monthly, plan a trip together once per quarter. Never mention the Pact to anyone. Alice and Jake are initially seduced by the glamorous parties, a sense of community, their widening social circle of like-minded couples, and then one of them breaks the rules. The young lovers are about to discover that for adherence to the Pact, membership, like marriage, is for life, and the Pact will go to any lengths to enforce that rule. For Jake and Alice, the marriage of their dreams is about to become their worst nightmare. So if you want me to read this, vote the Marriage Pact. All right. Continuing on.
Okay, next we have Beauty, and this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast by Robin McKinley.
I don't know. Okay, I do still own this, and I have not read it. This says, Beauty has never liked her nickname. She is thin and awkward. It is her two sisters who are the beautiful ones. But what she lacks in appearance, she can perhaps make up for in courage. When her father comes home with a tale of an enchanted castle in the forest and the terrible promise he had to make to the beast who lives there, Beauty knows she must travel to the castle, a prisoner of her own free will. Her father insists that he will not let her go, but she responds, "Cannot a beast be tamed?" And that's all it says. So if you want me to read this, vote Beauty. Okay, so we are currently 3/4 of the way through this, and I have 15 books. So at this rate, it's still looking like there's a good chance I could have to read the top 3 voted books. All right, next up.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the stack. We only have this much left. Next up, we have Mistakes That Worked, The World's Familiar Inventions and How They Came to Be by Charlotte Fultz Jones.
I feel like I actually read this one. I can't remember. Let me check. Okay, so I haven't read this, but I do still own it. This says, the greatest discoveries are made outside the classroom. Learn all about mistakes that change the world with this collection of the strange stories behind everyday inventions. It's no accident that you'll love this book. Sandwiches came about when an English earl was too busy gambling to eat his meal and needed to keep one hand free. Potato chips were first cooked by a chef who was furious when a customer complained that his fried potatoes weren't thin enough. Coca-Cola, Silly Putty, and X-Rays have fascinating stories behind them too. Their unusual tales and many more, along with hilarious cartoons and weird amazing facts, make up this fun-filled book about everyday items that had surprisingly haphazard beginnings. So if you want me to read this, vote Mistakes That Worked. All right, next up.
Next up, we have The Foundling, the true story of a kidnapping, a family secret, and my search for the real me, by Paul Joseph Franzak and Alex Tresnowski.
I feel like I still own this, and I haven't read it. That is correct. This says, this is the inspiring and page-turning true story of a man who discovered that he had been kidnapped as a baby, and how his quest to find out who he really is upturned the genealogy industry, his own family, and set in motion the second longest cold case in U.S. history. In 1964, a woman pretending to be a nurse kidnapped an infant boy named Paul Franzak from a Chicago hospital. 2 years later, police found a boy abandoned outside a variety store in New Jersey. The FBI tracked down Dora Franzak, the kidnapper's infant mother, and she identified the abandoned boy as her son. The family spent the next 50 years believing they were whole again, but Paul was always unsure about his true identity. Then 4 years ago, spurred on by the birth of his first child, Emma Faith, Paul took a DNA test. The test revealed that he was definitely not Paul Franzak. From that moment on, Paul has been on a tireless mission to find the man whose life he's been living and discover who abandoned him and why. Poignant and inspiring, The Foundling is a story about a child lost and a faith found, about the permanence of families and the bloodlines that define you, and about the emotional toll of both losing your identity and discovering and rediscovering who you truly are. So if you want me to read this, vote The Foundling. All right, next up.
Next up is Strong Female Protagonist, Book 1 by Brennan Lee McGullen and Molly Ostertag.
I feel like I did read this one, and I feel like I unhauled it. Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. All right, let me get my earbud back in. All right, next up.
I also got books 4 and 5 of the Wayward Children series.
I don't know if I've read either one of those. Let me check. Okay, so I have read book 4, In an Absent Dream. I have not read book 5. That's as far as I've gotten. So the Wayward Children series, I think a lot of people already know what this is about. But it's like a portal fantasy thing. We have, well, let me tell you like the little thing it says for the overall series here. Wayward Children series is the story of Eleanor West School for Wayward Children, a boarding school for kids who come home from portal fantasy worlds and can't adjust to their new ordinary lives. And then each of the books kind of goes into, some of them are in our world and some of them are in these portal worlds where we're getting the story of like an individual child in their fantasy world. But I very much love this series. And yeah, so if you want me to read this, vote Come Tumbling Down. All right, next up.
Okay, next up we have Pushed by Corinne Jackson.
I feel like I've read Pushed, but I'm not sure. No, I haven't read Pushed. So Pushed is actually book 2 in the series, the Sense Thieves series. I have read book 1 though, so gosh, when did I read that? 4 years ago. So I probably have to reread the first book, and then read the second book. What you will vote for is Pushed, which is the second book. But I'm going to tell you about the first book because I can't tell you about the second because spoilers. First one says, Remy O'Malley heals people with a touch, but every injury she cures becomes her own. Living in a household with an abusive stepfather, she has healed untold numbers of broken bones, burns, and bruises. And then one night, her stepfather goes too far. Being sent to live with her estranged father offers a clean start, and she is eager to take it. Enter Asher Blackwell. Once a protector of healers, Asher sacrificed his senses to become immortal. Only by killing a healer can a protector recover their human senses. Falling in love is against the rules between these two enemies, because Remy has the power to make protectors human again, and when they find out, they'll be coming for her, if Asher doesn't kill her first. So if you want me to read this, vote Pushed. Okay, so that puts us at 19 books. Let's see what's left of this video. There's not a lot left. I maybe, looking at the amount of time, maybe 1 or 2 books. All right, let's see.
And then the last book that I have here is The Silent Corner by Dean Koontz.
I don't know if I've read that one. Feel like I have. If that's the first book in the series, I definitely have. I have, and I do still own it. Whew. Okay. All right. That's it. That was the last book. Oh my goodness. We came so close to having to add on another book. Oh my goodness. That was a lot. Like, I did not do well this round at all. At all. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here are the books that you can vote for. So we have New World Ashes, The Tyrant's Tomb, Castle Hangnail, Flying Lessons and Other Stories, Tangled in Time, The Cat Who Came In Off the Roof, Black City, Across the Universe, Binti, Friend Request, Cracked Up to Be, Horror Store, The Marriage Pact, Beauty, Mistakes That Worked, The Foundling, Come Tumbling Down, or Pushed. I have my guesses on which books I think would probably get the most votes. But sometimes y'all surprise me. But yes, I will be picking the top 2 voted books for this round. So comment down below which book or books you want me to read in the upcoming month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!